Hi, this is Pastor Dale O'Shields from Church of the Redeemer in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Thank you for joining me for our devotional time today, and I hope these devotionals are encouraging you, and if they are, maybe you can share them with someone else or encourage them to subscribe to this as well. I hope it's a blessing in your life each day. Let me talk to you today, continuing about attitudes. That's what we're focusing on this week, the power of your attitudes. And one of the things that will really sabotage your attitudes in a very significant way and in a very fast way, quick way, is intimidation or fear. And anytime that fear comes your way, it really goes after the positive anticipation you have for the future. It begins to create all the what if scenarios that you're not going to make it, or what if this happens, or what if that happens. And before long, you find that the attitude of faith has been deflated by fear. And there's a story in the book of Nehemiah that describes a time in Nehemiah's life as he was rebuilding the wall, or leading the people of Israel to the rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem, where he was facing this potential of intimidation. And he had some enemies, Sanballat and Geshem and some of the others that were there that were rising up against him. These were enemies identified in the story of Nehemiah. So let me pick up the story in Nehemiah chapter 6. I'm going to start with verse number 2. So Sanballat and Geshem sent a message, but I realized they were plotting to harm me. So I replied by sending this message to them. I'm engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? See, they were trying to pull him away from the work. 4 times they sent the same message, and each time I gave the same reply. The 5th time I replied, there is no truth in any part of your story. You are making up the whole thing. They were just trying to intimidate us, imagining that they could discourage us and stop the work. So I continued the work with even greater determination. I want you to listen to verse 9 again. That's the enemies of Nehemiah and the people of Israel at that time, they were just trying to intimidate us, imagining or thinking that they could discourage us and stop the work. So I continued the work with even greater determination. I love that verse. Here was the intimidation of the enemy coming against Nehemiah, and of course those that were working with him. And Nehemiah recognized it for what it was. He realized that this was a bunch of lies from the adversary to simply try to pull them off the focus that God had given them, the work that God had called them to do. And one of the key things in life, if you and I are going to battle the enemy of intimidation, you have to recognize it when it comes. And then not only recognize it, but realize it's a lie. It's not something I'm going to believe. See, everything you think is not always true. And sometimes the adversary places thoughts in your mind that are just from the very pit of hell that you have to recognize, this is not the way I'm going to think. It's not the way I'm going to live my life. And the right attitude is to rise up in the face of intimidation with determination. Let me say that again. Anytime you feel intimidated by the adversary, respond with greater determination to do the work and will of God. Realize that faith always conquers fear. Let Nehemiah be a great example for you. Keep the attitude of determination in the face of intimidation.